Have you ever traveled through time? We do it every day.
Asgardia is a country with a population of more than 1 million people from more than 200 countries on Earth. Asgardia gives everyone equal opportunities, no matter what their earthly status is.
It is possible to create and live in the future right now. Are you ready? Forward progress is the solution to the entire human race. Our mission is to bridge new horizons. In Asgardia, there is no limit to the universal development in the fields of technology, finance, and arts. Asgardia is a new space and digital economy which creates opportunities for the global economy. We deliver innovations. Do you want to get on board with us? We are developing various kinds of digital businesses, attracting them to the Asgardia platform that can be backed by the means of our umbrella, i.e. franchising of the Asgardia brand. We can not only attract investments into space programs from prominent institutional investors, but also affordable amounts from the citizens of Asgardia. We comprise of more than 1 million people.
Asgardia is a chance to realize one's dream. This is a dream-driven space nation. Asgardia is a chance to belong to a community of free-thinking enthusiasts, goal-driven dreamers, and fearless innovators, theorists, and scientists.
We are the first space nation. One humanity, one unity.
Asgardia.
We are creating
The future.
Greetings. Hello. We'll start in just 1 or 2 minutes.
Hi.
Hiya, again.
Okay.
Everyone's very quiet today.
Yes. You need to start the presentation.
Well, then we shall start. Okay, thank you everyone for being here. And 5 things to cover. They're not very long. Often these meetings aren't very long because they follow on from the digital sitting. Before I go into that, a big thank you to the people here for being at that digital sitting. And if you are watching anywhere in the world, please do join Asgardia. It's 100 solars. That's our currency a year. That's the same as 100 euros, same value. That entitles you to all of the privileges and all of the benefits of being an Asgardian citizen, or resident. Technically resident citizenship will follow. And you will find all the details on Asgardia Space Nation. If you put Asgardia Space Nation, you'll get straight to our website and you'll be able to join. I'm the chair of the Parliament, so we have these informal sessions every week. And this is a non-voting session where we catch up and agree things that we're going to be moving forward to in the future. So I got 5 things. Then I'll move to Peter and he can summarize what he'd like to, if there's anything in addition from the meeting we've just had of the chairs of the committees. First of all, the digital sitting was really good, very efficient, very well run. Thank you. The documents recording the outcome of that will be out very soon, and I really appreciate everyone's help. We've got 4 pieces of legislation now which have been passed at first reading. They'll come back at second reading. And as always, I invite you to come up with anything that you would like to put into the legislative system. Don't create things just to create legislation. Please think about it this way, that you do things which are necessary, that we have legislation which is necessary, but we don't just create legislation for the sake of it. That's just not good politics. I think that happens quite a lot in Earth politics, and we don't need to do the same thing. Second of 5 things, the fascinating thing to me is the way that the culture of our society has developed. And I think it's really effective. And I believe that for a future discussion, we might want to share lessons that we've learned so far in terms of how we run our society. Why? Because I would like to have an audiovisual record of the lessons that this highly experienced team has, so that in future, others who join future Asgardian parliaments will be able to learn from that. So I think I will organise that probably as an Asgardia legislative forum. Third of 5, we're now in Asgardia Executive Congress month. On 29 October, all 12 chairs of the committees will be meeting with the government and the head of nation in Dubai. It's very soon. Thank you, everybody who has organised your documentation. And I remind the chairs once again, have a look at the emails that's been sent to you by Aliona, just in terms of preparing for that event. I really want us to leave the Congress with clear action steps that A, we can do, and B, we want to do, that are relevant to the organisation and to the future of Asgardia as a nation. 4 of 5, we have got at last, I'm very close to getting the, I say this almost every week, but the Highway to Space series onto station, and we will advertise that once it begins to go out. It will actually be broadcast a number of times in the week. So they'll be out, and then they go into the archive. So they will always be available after they start broadcasting on the station. And that's a good use of a great program. So that's really good, and I'm really glad that Dan Profia has done such a great job of making those programs. And the final thing for me is that I'm communicating a lot outside these meetings with colleagues, and I expect that'll get even more frequent after the Congress. I want you, the chairs and members of committees, to think about the things we can do to build the number of residents, which brings more turnover in, which gives us space to develop our economy. So it's a busy, very important month, and if I can, I will try to organise an Asgardia Executive Congress. Sorry, correction, an Asgardia Legislative Forum before the Asgardia Executive Congress. I need to check the timings and see what's feasible. But if I can do that, it might be useful for us to do that too. Peter, over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, a relatively short meeting of the chairs of committees tonight. We did some analysis of what had happened at the weekend in the full parliamentary session, and also, of course, looked forward again to the Executive Congress coming up next. No, it's this month now. In where are we going?
Dubai.
Thank you. In Dubai. A lot of interesting chat, and we were joined by Ariadne tonight, who was deputising for her committee chairman, which is what we can do. And just generally, it's always just a refreshing chat, and concentrates our minds on what we are looking to do, which is to get into space and establish a permanent presence in space and govern it with equity and with fairness and with justice. And that we will achieve, especially given all of our chairs at the moment, who are a great team of men and women. Great. Although Sarah Clark hasn't said a word tonight, and I'm starting to be concerned she must have lost her voice. But it was always lovely, always a good meeting, and always nice to look forward to next week again, which we do. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Peter. As I say, these meetings are normally fairly short because we've done everything the weekend before, but let me open it up if anybody has any questions or comments, then please do say. I'm not thanking everyone individually who participated. There's a big group thank you to everybody who helped with the great, really good digital sitting. Those documents are with the head of nation now. The protocols, as they're called, have been sent to the head of nation. Who the chairs will all be meeting on the 29th of October. That's going to be a big event. So over to you. Any questions or comments that anybody would like to make? You don't have to. John.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I actually meant to tell you this in the last meeting, but forgot. So anyway, I am preparing the LMRG paperwork right now, and I'll get that out. I know I usually get it out right after the Parliament session, but I'm running way behind because of all the prep for the Executive Congress, and plus I've got I had an interview this week and some other things that I had to take care of. So, but as soon as I can get those documents done, I'll post them on the LMRG platform and send that let everybody and send out an email to everybody. But I just I've been a little swamped, so I am working on it.
Thanks, John. I wouldn't have blamed you anyway. You were very busy at the weekend. You did a good job. So that was really great. The LMRG, that's the Legislative Merit Review Group. Is just a really good thing. It makes the whole legislation process more effective, and I'm very grateful to John for running that. Kirby.
Oh, everyone. I just wanted to say we definitely did have an excellent meeting. Some things that we needed to address were definitely addressed appropriately. And I'm sure that all the requirements for those acts will be carried through, and all the additions will allow it to be able to move on to the next sitting. I also did want to also mention that the contracts rate is currently still at 0.5%. So feel free to add commentary on that if needed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kirby. Anybody else have anything you want to raise now? Okay, I'll go to any other business. Raise your hands if you want to raise anything. As I say, I'm quite keen to keep the meeting just before and just after the digital thing short. I'll come to Ariadne in just a minute. So the things to look out for, we'll organise the next Asgardia Legislative Forum, and I'll try to do that before our next digital, before the Congress. I need to check, but the two most likely dates will either be the most likely date will be Saturday the 11th of October. That is the most likely date for the Saturday the 11th, but it's a bit close, Saturday the 25th of October. I just need to check. Which it is. It might actually be just before the Congress. In fact, that might be the better date. If people have a particular preference, then let me know. For now, I'll make the decision now. Saturday, 25 October, provisionally, for a short meeting of the Asgardia Legislative Forum, just in advance of the event. That's what I put, 1300. And I expect it would be a maximum of 3 hours, probably be more like 2 hours. Okay, thanks everybody. Ariadne.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I wanted to know what kind of contracts, with whom. It's possible to know some clarification. What means that in regarding with John Fine, that it's in the Committee of Trade and Commerce, and what is the position of Ikiobi when he talk about contracts with whom, who are involved on that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, let me get Ikiobi to answer that. If you want to clarify what contract you're talking about.
Sure thing. So, in regards to the Contracts Act, uh, the contracts are in regards to any contracts between individuals, corporations, entities, just ensuring that the contracts and the different transactions between citizens of Asgardia are equitable and are free from prejudice and meet the industry stated requirements for Asgardia. So currently there is requirement for maintaining the contracts and ensuring that they meet those requirements. And I just indicated that the current rate was 0.5%. So that's just a little bit about what that was about. And in related to what you were referring to, I don't think there is a relation, but I definitely do think that there might be some additional requirements. So I think we might leave that for John.
What do you mean by the 0.5%?
So that is the current rating for the contracts that are currently being reviewed, and the 0.5% represents the sort of approval from the uh equity and resources. So to ensure that that particular contract meets those requirements.
I don't completely understand, but we go to Further, then John Further.
Sorry, thank you very much. Any kind of contracts should go to Justice Committee. None of our parliaments has any authority about these kind of things, and I don't know what Ikobi is talking about, but he shouldn't do any connection about this kind of stuff. He should forward them to the departments who are related. Sorry, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Further.
So the contracts that are usually adjusted or reviewed are dependent on sort of like the client and what they're referring to. So if you're talking in regards to like lawsuits or criminal cases and such like that, yeah,
Any
those go
kind of.
through the law department. But there are other contracts and such that come up through
Ikobi,
the
sorry.
businesses on
Everything.
Asgardia.
No,
So
I understand.
the businesses on Asgardia
Let the Kirby
have
finish.
contracts. So the businesses on Asgardia have contracts that they've sort of established and everything. And we ensure that after a certain amount, or if they have particular requirements in them, they are definitely reviewed by the legal team, because that's where those requirements come in as well. But in regards to sort of equity and resources, that's how we sort of maintain those requirements through the Contracts Act.
I understand you,
So
but the
yes,
procedure.
So yes, you will have an option to review it, but I think it's just in general, everyone should have a say depending on what sort of requirements there are. But when it has reference to equity and resources in the Contracts Act, those are the requirements that we have sort of implemented.
Sorry, I'm
Uh,
continuing, Mr. Lambert.
Go
I
ahead.
need to clarify this. No committee has the right to do the work by themselves. We all send everything to the related department first. After their approval, we do things. You need to send them all to the Justice Department, Justice Committee. After then, Equity and Resources take their advices and act on it. And Equity and Resources RIA has to sign them, not parliamentarians or committee members. Chairs are responsible for the proceeding.
Well, in regards to having the law department read it, I think no legal document can be verified if we don't have the law team reading, everyone should have a representative or like a lawyer who definitely reviews it. So yeah, making
No,
sure that the legal team reviews it is definitely an essential part. So yeah,
parliamentarians doesn't have that.
I don't have
Wait a
any
minute, wait a minute, Further. Let
reason.
I shall come back to you now, Further. Wait a minute.
So yeah, there's no reason for the legal team not to review it. So yeah, we'll definitely have them review it, and then we implement the requirements from the Contracts Act.
Contracts.
Sorry, parliamentarians doesn't have that authority.
Can I step in further?
Wait, yeah, John. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'll come back to you in a minute. John, I have to say that I'm confused because this doesn't seem to be the procedures that we've got. John, then Sarah.
Yeah,
John,
okay.
Sarah.
So yeah, okay. Thank you. First off, the parliament does not implement any piece of legislation. Hold on.
Willing Star hosted summarized LA Tech Week event
Hold on.
October 16th.
Hush. Stupid phone always decides to talk right when I'm talking. Anyway, Parliament does not implement any piece of legislation that we produce. Okay. The government is the one who implements legislation, not Parliament. Now, as far as contracts, right now, Equity and Resources, the Ministry of Equity and Resources, has yet to set up anything for contracts. Right now, contracts is being handled through Trade and Commerce Ministry and through the Finance Ministry and through the, like Ferda said, through Justice Department or Justice Ministry, not Department. But and that's where contracts are handled. Now, I can tell you, as the chair of Trade and Commerce, that Ben Dale, the Minister of Trade and Commerce, has not made me aware of any contracts and contract rates, and nor would he, because that's really immaterial and none of my business. It's none of Parliament's business. That's stuff that he would share with folks in government. So I'm not sure what Kobe's talking about. And I can tell you that RIA has not made me aware of anything of this information that Kobe's saying. So, like I said, I am unaware of what he's talking about, so I can't really speak on his behalf. But I can tell you, on the behalf of Parliament and Trade and Commerce, that we, as the LMRG chairman, we do not implement any piece of legislation. That is not in our purview. It's unconstitutional. The Constitution clearly states that government, which is the prime minister on up, implements the legislation. We can write it, we can and pass it, but we don't implement it. So I hope that's clear. Anyway.
Sarah?
I would just like to know who we is. I mean, he keeps saying we, and I'm wondering, I would like some clarification on who we is.
Hey, Kirby? Who's the we? And also this concern which John and others have made, that essentially the contracts are handled somewhere else. The Kirby.
So in regards to those particular requirements for the Contracts Act, for the implementation of the particular requirements, I think the capacity to be able to meet those requirements were not set fit for Asgardia. So in regards to completing those requirements and speaking with the appropriate individuals, I don't think the appropriate channels were sort of put through to ensure that those requirements were met, especially because the Contracts Act was proposed by my legislation and my team. So the capacity would be hindered at first, and then it would also be dismissed because the requirements were not in place for anyone on your team to be able to maneuver that particular requirement. So implementing it on our end will just be another roadblock for whoever was tasked to review those requirements. So that's why we created NRAD as well, with no affiliation with Asgardia, to be able to invite those particular requirements on board to ensure that your diminishing capacity would be able to handle the amount of services and requirements needed to reciprocate the particular transactions in the contracts that are met by the Contracts Act, and also making sure that the LMRG had those requirements as well, because upon, I think, Maria did show us where you had some aspects of review as well. So it does also show it in the Contracts Act about those particular requirements. And there is definitely more to it than just the 0.5% interest, which needs to be announced like once a month. But I think those particular requirements are being put into play in regards to not just the review of the contracts, but sort of the particular requirements as well. So there's a whole lot left to actually implement than just the 0.5%. So we're definitely able to communicate that effectively with us to see how those requirements are put in. So like I said, the proposal of the legislation definitely had those requirements, and I will find it very interesting to see how those particular requirements would be needed in play as well. So that's why I wasn't quite understanding where you were coming from in regards to those requirements, because there's definitely way more things to do as well.
Well, there's
So I'm sure if you read the Contracts Act, you'll be able to understand.
okay. Where is this Contracts Act?
I think it was part of I think Decree 47, or the last decree that was just approved a couple months back. So that it's a part of the 3-part ones that were out a couple months ago. So I think we worked on that on par with the Copyrights Act as well.
The Decree 47 is the Judiciary Act. It's not really.
And I still haven't gotten clarification as to who we is. I mean,
And like I said, we would be the particular people who would be able to contribute to NRAD and any other requirements that we see fit for the mitigation of the act, basically. So being able to understand where the they, them, and the us and the we come from, also associate with if you have the capacity to be able to sort of provide that requirements as needed. So that's why we needed the commentary.
Right, we do. Yeah, I understand what you mean by the Contracts Act. It was something in May 2025. It was one of 3 key economic acts passed at the time simultaneously. But the we, I'm still not clear myself. Who is the we? What's the name of the we that Sarah's asking about?
So there's no official name because there's no like set group. It can happen from any department or any like meeting that can help contribute to the review of contracts, because they're contracts from every other team. They're contracts going through the citizenship, their contracts going through different departments. So it's the collective we to be able to provide that commentary. And that's why I always say we need that commentary to be able to understand those particular requirements as well. So it's the collective we.
Okay, so as the chair of the finance committee, I find it very interesting that we, and that would be my committee, has had no input on this and no notification, no follow-up, no insight, because we are the we. So I would ask that you please forward all pertinent information to the Finance Committee so that we may review it. Because if there was any input on an interest rate, for example, that would be the Finance Committee.
Just a couple of things.
Yes.
Asgardia, you're right. The Contracts Act came in with Decree 87. There is one, but it sounds to me you're talking about something different. There isn't, right. I don't understand this 0.5%. I don't understand it. What is the 0.5% that you're talking about?
So the 0.5% is the rate at which the our department and Asgardia as a whole receives and manages the interest. So there's the general equity and from the resources that is collected through Asgardia through all the contracts. So that's like, I would say, the 100%. And the 0.9% is what our department utilizes to maintain the different structures for the mitigation of the contract. And also it references the sort of clients and the contracts and the different requirements needed to maintain the amount of equity needed to be pulled into like reserves and such and particular requirements. You can all see it in the Contracts Act. You can be able to sort of understand how that sort of plays in, and that amount is variable and is affected by, let's say, larger contracts or large turmoil. As you can see, it talks about forces of man, forces of nature in the Equity and the Contracts Act, and how we mitigate those issues, and how that is something that needs to be put into play in regards to mitigating those issues in the contracts and such.
Okay, I don't understand by what authority money is being taken. This would all be handled by the minister primarily. And if anyone in this Parliament would be doing this, it would be the Finance Committee. Let's go to John further and then the Deputy Chair. John?
Yeah. Say on there. Yes. Well, again, nobody in Parliament manages, mitigates, or implements legislation or any part of the legislation. Okay, that's not our job. All that's done in government, the ministry. That is the minister's job. So unless you're an aide for the minister, what you're saying there is, it sounds like total hogwash because there's no such thing as what you're saying. There's not right now. It doesn't exist, and a lot of the things that you're saying exist in the law. It doesn't. There is no mitigation of nature or man or anything like that in the legislation. I know. I was one of the primary people that helped put that legislation together. Of course, and you said it was your legislation at the very beginning, and it wasn't. And that legislation was first authored by Rhea Dale, and then and once it got to the LMRG, I helped her with it, and the Mark Beer from the Justice Ministry did a good deal portion of the work too. And Rhea never indicated there was a whole lot of people that helped her put the legislation together, even though she gave credit to the entire committee. But the most of the work was done by her herself. So, but there is no mitigating of legislation in Parliament. There is no management of legislation, and there is no implementation of legislation, right? Unless that comes down from government that says, hey, Parliament, we want you to do this, this, and that, we can't do it. If we do it, then we're working outside our purview. So, and that's by the Constitution of Asgardia, and we've got to stick to that Constitution. We can't work outside of the Constitution. So, anyway, that's what I want to say.
Well, I applaud your sort of dexterity and tried to sort of work everything at once. I can tell that it's a lot. But in regards to just the contract acts, I introduced that contracts act. I actually penned majority of it. And Ria definitely had a lot of contribution in making it what it is today. Also in regards to the creation of the Contracts Act, there were definitely particular requirements that came into play as well. And you can see from the sort of the documentation for the Contracts Act. Additionally, in regards to capacity and the puniness of your particular reference doesn't allow you to facilitate the complete entity of what the Contracts Act was originally implemented for. So you bringing up what you're saying doesn't equate to the actual completion and the process it would take to get to where you need to be to actually implement the Contracts Act. So I understand where you're talking about your ability is not going to be able to implement anything that you discussed, carry out any of the acts or the legislation that you so thoughtfully like to inform us about. But when it comes to playing with a higher authority or particular requirements, it's easier to put those things in play.
Well, your words make
Wait a minute. Let's do John.
I need to answer.
John,
Your words make no sense. It's like you're doing a word melody of the English language. But I mean, some of the words you're putting together don't even go together. So, but I will tell you this: we have a tracking page in the LMRG, and we track that legislation from the day it's written till the day it is enacted. Okay, and we track authors and all that. And I can tell you on the tracking page, your name's not on there. So you must be talking about something totally different than what we're talking about.
I don't want to argue. I don't want to argue because
I'm not arguing. I'm just telling you the facts.
This is not the
Okay.
fact. Maybe your RG is wrong because
That's why we keep tracking pages. That's
one at a time. John, hang on. I'll come back to you, John. Go on the KOB, then back to John, then further. The KOB.
I don't know, John, if you're letting us know your LMRG has several issues, I guess you need to be able to speak more to the testament of the documents you're reviewing as well. So maybe it's something you can improve upon.
Well, I have to tell you, John's pretty good at this. John has that's an extraordinary comment. John, back to you. Then we'll do further. Then Peter. John.
Yeah, I'm just giving the facts the way they are. Okay, the Constitution says the Parliament cannot manage, mitigate, or implement legislation. Okay, that is for the ministry. Now, when ministry comes down and they want to invoke a policy or a procedure, they can do that, but none has been invoked yet. And on the Contracts Act, now there has been some invoked through the Trade and Commerce Ministry, and you can go on Asgardia.trade to get that information, and that's what's been implemented by the Ministry of Trade and Commerce. None of the other ministries, Equity and Resources, hadn't implemented anything, and none of the others. But I do know for a fact that the Finance Ministry and the Justice Ministry do play a role in contracts currently, and that's from the first Parliament. So, and those are facts. Those are not up for debate. And we do have a tracking page, and it is tracked by the not only the chair of your committee, but it's tracked by the LMRG and it's tracked by the Parliament chair. All sit there and track and verify these tracking pages to make sure everything gets put in there legitimately. And so I don't know what you're talking about, but it cannot be the actual Contracts Act that was passed by Parliament, because it doesn't do any of the things that you said it does. And it doesn't give you the authority to do any of the things you say it does. So it can't be that. It has to be something else. If it's something else, fine. Tell us what that something else is, but you're trying to make it sound like it's the actual Contracts Act, and that cannot be that, because it don't do what you're saying that it does. But anyway, that's all I got.
Thank you, John. Let's go to Ferda. You've been waiting.
Thank you very much. Kirby got lots of things wrong, I think, because in the Constitution also making some actions out of the Parliament through the Asgardians or other people are banned. It is illegal for us to act on it. We are here only to shape Asgardia. And out of Asgardia, we don't have any authority to make direct contact to the people. The government has that responsibility. So if he is trying to do something, he is doing wrong. He has to get approval from the government. He has to pass his documents to the committees, and he has to have the signature of the ministers or otherwise. The other every way is wrong and illegal. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ferda. Let's go to Peter, who is obviously Deputy Chair of Parliament, but also the Chair of the Justice Committee. Peter.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I am Deputy Chair of the Parliament, and I am Chairman of the Justice Committee. And I have to tell you that these points, such as they are, and they are not easy to see through what the points are that are being raised, have not been raised with the Justice Committee during the course of any legislation. And that is where we come in. John Fine summed it up extremely well, because we are formulating and shaping the legislation which is being proposed and voted on. Once it's implemented, once it's an act of Parliament, there is absolutely no place for Parliament to be involved. We just don't. We don't enforce, we don't mitigate, we don't have anything to do with it unless legislation comes back to us to be changed. We just don't. It's beyond our remit. We assist in getting the Acts of Parliament in front of the Parliament, and then they are voted on. And once they go through and they are signed off by Head of Nation, that's it. We don't have any other part to play, and we can't mitigate. What are we mitigating? Because we aren't being accused of anything. We are simply doing our job in the course of the preparation of the legislation, and once it's passed, that's it. I mean, I've got experience, not as much as you have, Chairman, of the British Parliament, and you cannot imagine somebody raising a point about an act of Parliament and bringing it back to the House of Commons to argue about. It's a done deal. You bring a new act if you want a new act, and if you don't like what Parliament's doing, then you vote against the members of Parliament at the next general election. I'm afraid that whilst I have respect for all of my fellow members of the Asgardian Parliament, what I've listened to tonight in this debate by the member who raised it is what I have referred to in courts of law, in open courts of law, where I do mitigate, where I do accuse, where I do defend, and I have referred to it as pure codswallop. That's what we've been listening to. There is nothing here for us to debate as parliamentarians. Nothing at all. This isn't the right venue anyway for a serious debate. This is a question and answer session with the leader of the parliament, namely you, Lembit. We shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be talking about mitigation. Mitigating what? It doesn't make any sense. I am not going to further address those points because they are not valid, they are not sensible, they are not logical, and they are not, with respect to the Speaker, worthy of comment. Let's get back to what we should be doing here, asking questions of the Chairman of Parliament and not trying to belittle acts of parliament which have been passed, and it's too late to be trying to do anything now.
Thank you, Peter. I'll come back
Yes, I agree with the deputy chair 100%, and ensuring that the different requirements and the different sort of parts of the act are addressed is definitely essential. So yes, here.
Okay, I'm a bit confused by that as well. But Ria's here. I'll come to you further. Ria, just to check, Kirby says he wrote the great majority of the Contracts Act. I thought you did that, Ria. If you wish to comment, then feel free to do so. You don't have to comment. Otherwise, we can talk about this offline. I need to get to the bottom of that. Further.
Very much. I need an investigation what has been done about Kirby and the situation. We need to act on it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. There should definitely be investigation into those particular requirements and being able to address the discrepancies that we are witnessing as well. So yes.
Ria.
Hi, yes. Ikobi presented the document for the Contracts Act in the beginning, but that was not in line with what the Act is supposed to be. So I did the Contracts Act from scratch from there.
Thank you. Okay, so you did write it. All right, thank you. I will do what we've just been talking about. I will investigate this as everyone seems to agree now, as well, and Fernand needs to agree. I need to work out what's going on here, which we can't do any more of today. But I need to figure this out, and I need to do this pretty quickly. Thank you, everybody. Is there anything else that we need to cover before we finish? Okay, my action step, just in addition to my any other business, I will now investigate this. Various claims have been made. I need to understand this, and as it's been made quite clear before, having a unilateral imposition of some kind of a percentage is totally out of the jurisdiction of anybody in this parliament. It can be done, but it has to be done through a proper process. And I have raised this before, so I am quite concerned about this 0.5% business, together with some of the other claims that have been made tonight. Okay, thank you, everybody. I'm expecting that the ALF will be just before this guy's letter from just before the next the Asgardia Executive Congress around the 25th of, I think, Saturday the 25th, if that's a Saturday. And the idea will be just to make sure we're all ready. I'll come to you in a second, Kirby. We're all ready for the Congress. That's really important, really central to making sure everyone feels they're ready. I don't think anyone's traveling on the Saturday, so I think we should all be able to be there. It'll be a short meeting, but just to make sure we're all ready for the Asgardia Executive Congress and everyone has had their say. Okay, Kirby.
I just wanted to just applaud everyone's sort of ability and their background to be able to provide commentary, so we can be able to ensure everything continuously works smoothly on Asgardia. Thank you all.
Okay. All right, let's finish there. Went to 32, so half of that's 15. Minus one's 15. So thank you, everybody. Everyone who contributed. If you'd like to join Asgardia, then go to the Asgardia Space Nation site, please, and make sure that you are able to pay. It's 100 euros, 100 solars, and then you'll be a full citizen, a full resident. Sorry, full resident for a year. We still have to work out citizenship. Full resident for a year, and you can help us achieve our goals in space. Thank you. We can close the broadcast, and thank you, everybody. Sarah, I'll give you a call in a moment.